And we have in studio Mike Berry, who's a Republican candidate for the state Senate in the special election. Good morning. Thanks for coming over and joining us.
Good morning, Chris. Thanks for having me.
We had one of your Republican opponents in here the other week, and so we thought as many as you guys will come over to us, we want to have you.
There's a few of us.
Yeah, it's a big race over there, right? But as the Attleboro Sun-Chronicle points out, it's a good chance, which is unique in Massachusetts, that whoever wins the Republican nomination is likely to be the state senator from that district.
I think that's true. It's historically a conservative seat. Jim Timilty, who had the seat for the past 13 years, was a pretty conservative Democrat. Believe it or not, there's still a couple conservative Democrats out there. Prior to him, it was Joanne Sprague, who had it for a number of years, and I'm happy to have her support. She's since retired to Chatham. But served 3 terms in the House, 3 terms in the Senate, was someone that believed in self-term eliminating, and she's been great. So it's an independent seat, though. I think it values certainly right-of-center values, but it appreciates legislators that aren't afraid to buck their own party and certainly buck the establishment on Beacon Hill, and that's something I think I bring to the table.
Mike, what's your website?
www.berry4senate.com. That's number 4, berry4senate.com.
And for those folks who don't know you, give us a thumbnail sketch of who you are, what your experience is, what you bring to the table.
Sure. First thing I like telling everyone is about my background. You know, when I was a kid, I used to hear people say, well, look at the parents and then you can get an idea what the kid's like. And my parents, my dad's a Vietnam vet from South Boston. My mom's an Irish immigrant from County Cork. I was raised in a middle-class household. Both my parents belong to unions. I have 2 sisters. I'm the middle boy. And so that's the household we grew up in, 2 working parents, and it really formed my values as a person and continues to form my values now as a candidate. And I think when thinking about running for this office, I believe it's time to have somebody in there that puts families and puts working families ahead of themselves. And I think what you've seen about lawmakers from Beacon Hill is too often they're putting their own interests ahead of their constituents. So my background, I was elected to the Walpole School Committee at age 24, kind of got involved at a young age. A lot of times my father was going, he'd see me packing up and leaving for a school committee meeting, and he'd say, Mike, what are you doing? What are you doing? I can't, I watch the meetings for 5 or 10 minutes and I just want to go to bed. And at age 27, I was elected to the Walpole Board of Selectmen and re-elected in 2013. So I had an affinity of politics for a young age. And I think one of the things that really excites me about this opportunity is when I was younger, I thought the only way you could get into politics was having the family connection, having a family name. You had to be a Kennedy. You had to be, any other name that had some wealth and power and connections.
A Timilty.
A Timilty, I guess. Yeah. Or you were an Ivy Leaguer. I used to flip through and look through, where did these people go to school? And,
right.
They were a triple eagle. They went to Boston Latin and all these things. And I didn't have any of that. And I thought I made it when I first got hired as a legislative aide to a wonderful woman who's my campaign treasurer, Jenny Capola, who was a state rep from Foxborough, succeeded her husband. I'd be walking up to the State House, and I was maybe 24 years old, 23 years old, and I'm walking up making $26,000 a year, and I thought I made it. I thought, I fooled them. I got in here.
Right.
And it was very, very exciting for me. It was a great honor. And for my family, it was a big thing to say their son was working at the State House.
Sure.
It had a nobility and a prestige to it that I think...
Yes, the son of an immigrant.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah. So that's my background. I worked in the State House for 3.5 years for Jenny Capola and Jay Barrows, who's currently the state rep for Foxborough, Mansfield, and Norton. And then from there, I went to work for Associated Builders and Contractors. They were an organization that represented the non-union construction industry in Massachusetts, which a lot of people don't know makes up the majority of the construction workforce in the state. And then from there, I went to work for the city of Marlborough. I was hired by Arthur Vigent to be his executive aide when he won the mayoralship for the city of Marlborough in 2012. I worked there for 3.5 years, and for the past 2 years or so, I've been in the Baker administration as a director in the legislative office of community affairs from Mass DOT. So that's been
Department of Transportation.
Department of Transportation and the MBTA, actually. So I've got my work cut out for me as legislative director, and that's been a wonderful opportunity to be part of the reforms that Governor Baker has been implementing, and I've been able to play a small role in that. So it's an exciting time. But I think those are the tools that I feel like I can bring to the legislature. I think I've got that experience as an elected municipal official 3 times. Also being a municipal employee, but also working at a pretty high level in the executive offices to actually implement policy and work with legislators and working with legislators in a bipartisan way. And then that's something, I know we're down in Chairman Bill Strauss's territory.
That's right.
He's someone I've worked with very well. He's a very, very nice guy, and I think I formed a great working relationship with him. And I think that's what people expect. They expect you to stand your ground, but not be afraid to work with someone just because they have a D after their name.
And this is an enormous district. I don't want to make you name every town in the state of Massachusetts, but do it. Tell me what towns are in this district.
So it starts in Medfield to the north. It goes down to Walpole. It goes down to Sharon, where we have only 3 precincts in Sharon. Then Foxborough, Mansfield, and Norton, all of those towns. Attleboro, precincts 3, 4, and 5, and precinct 3B. And then Seekonk and Rehoboth. So there's 9 communities in the district, and it's a long district. Obviously,
really is,
stretching from Medfield down to Seekonk and Rehoboth makes it pretty substantial. It was actually, for useless political trivia, way back in the day when Bill Keating had it, much more of Boston. It was much more Boston-centric, Boston, Medfield, Walpole, Sharon.
This was Bill Keating's district, because he's as you know, he's a congressman for this district now.
So the story, and many know it in the area, is that when Bill Keating tried leading a coup against Billy Bulger in the mid-'90s, his punishment was to have a lot more Republican-oriented communities put into his district.
Sure.
And he still survived, but in 1998, when he left to become district attorney, Joanne Sprague then won against actually Jim Timilty. So.
And it also, I believe, there's a rumor, at least Howie Carr tells it, who's here in the afternoons, that Whitey Bulger was out there holding a sign at one point for Bill Keating's opponent.
I cannot confirm or deny that, but
right.
My father's from South Boston, so maybe he could tell me that. I'll have to ask him that one.
Right. So what are the issues that are important to you, Mike, when you get to the legislature? You obviously know where the men's room is. You know how things are made, how things work up there from your time. What are your focus? Why is it that you're running?
Sure. I think the reason I'm running is because I feel like I have the experience, I think, to go to work on behalf of the families and small businesses of this district. I've been someone that's participated in politics for the better part of 12 or 13 years now. I've seen the very good and the very bad that politics can offer. And I feel public service is, emphasis on the word service, and I've done it at the local level. And I feel like I'm best qualified to step up and do the hard work that the people deserve. One of the things that I've been talking about as an issue is some ethics reform on Beacon Hill. We've had 2 instances the past couple of years. We've had 2 legislators, a former state senator, Brian Joyce, and another former legislator, Garrett Bradley, that have had some serious ethical clouds come over them. They've had some heavy investigative reporting done by the Boston Globe, where they've been found to represent private industry and private clients before state agencies. And they've been well compensated for that. And to me, I think that's I think part of the problem is for Beacon Hill, there's no common sense to say that that's wrong.
Right.
That there needs to be a very clear line to say that you cannot do that. If you're a sitting legislator, you cannot be representing private clients before state agencies. It's a huge conflict of interest, and in fact, it's it's the first piece of legislation that I've been telling the voters of this district that I want to file is some ethics reform. And I think the problem when people get to Beacon Hill, everybody talks about being a reformer and trying to clean things up. I'm actually going to do it, and if that upsets the establishment, then so be it. But I can do it in a way, I think, without poking people in the eye and say, hey, listen, we have to set up a system that is going to make sense now, but that's also going to last well beyond our years. And
no, Mike, I think you people are going to be excited about that. The other thing is, we have a lot of sportsmen in this listening audience. When I say sportsmen, people who hunt and fish. What's your opinion on the Second Amendment?
Strong supporter of the Second Amendment. Actually met a guy last week at Mansfield Family Fun Night, David Harris. He's actually going to be taking my fiance and I, my fiance Heather, who's a public school teacher. We're going to be going to a range and taking a class. He's a certified instructor.
Yep.
And we struck up a great conversation about some of the things in Massachusetts as a gun owner that he has that has infringed on his rights. And so we had a great conversation, and he invited me to join him and take a class. So bringing my fiance gets to make it a little bit less of a campaign thing and more of a couples exercise. I'm getting married in the fall. So
congratulations.
Yeah, so thank you. So we're pretty excited about that. So I'm a strong supporter of the Second Amendment, and the district has a lot of law-abiding gun owners that really deserve somebody to be their voice.
Yeah, I think that district does seem to have a lot of gun owners. It's again, as we point out, it's an enormous district. It's also a district that likely whoever wins this nomination for the Republican Party is likely to be the candidate. When is the election?
So September.
I know it's going on now, but
September 19th is the primary.
Okay.
So that's for a lot of us. That's the big day. There's a competitive primary on the Democratic side and a competitive primary on the Republican side, and then the general election is October 17th.
Okay, and it seems to me, just through our conversation, that you've picked up a lot of support in the district. Who are some of the folks that are supporting you that people might know?
Sure, yeah. So my former mentor, Jay Barrows, who's sitting state rep for Foxborough, Mansfield, and Norton, he's actually officially chairing my campaign and is behind me. State Representative Betty Poirier, who a lot of people know. She represents parts of Attleboro and North Attleboro and Mansfield. She's behind me. Senator Richard Ross, who his district, talk about gerrymandering, his district goes from Wayland all the way down to Attleboro. He's endorsed me as well. I have some selectmen from my hometown of Walpole that are with me, and some city councilors in Attleboro. And just recently, Senator Don Humison, he's Western Mass.
Right.
In fact, he's probably in the Senate caucus in terms of gun ownership, one of the strongest advocates.
Right.
He just recently endorsed my candidacy. So we're building a good coalition of support.
Great.
Endorsements, are important, but they're not everything. At the end of the day, each candidate has to go out and knock on doors, and you have to get your own message out there. You certainly can't rely on other people to get it out.
Thank you for joining us. Once again, what's your website, Mike, if people want to learn more about you?
Sure. Website is www.berry4senate.com. That's number 4, berry4senate.com. And my email is berry4senate@gmail.com. That comes right into my phone, so folks are more than welcome to email me directly and ask any questions about the campaign or if they want to volunteer.
Hey, that's great. Thank you so much. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Thanks again so much, Mike Berry, for joining us.
Thank you, Chris.